Ek gesels vanoggend met David Fincham en hy is van Tilapia Farming Africa en ons praat 'n bietjie oor die belangrikheid van aquacultuur of aquaboerdery as dit kom by voedselsekerheid in Suid-Afrika. David, welcome to GROOTplaas.
Thank you very much. Nice to join you this morning.
I'm so grateful to have you here. Let's start with aquaculture. What is it, first of all, and why is it important when it comes to food security and nutrition?
Well, aquaculture basically involves farming anything in water. So it's got a very wide range of topics and species that we farm with. You know, even crocodile farming is considered to be aquaculture. And more recently, we're looking now at the farming of seaweeds and algae. But primarily, it's the production of fish.
How big is it in South Africa?
It's big in terms of certain species. Abalone is our biggest farmed species, followed by trout farming, your forel. And tilapia is a little bit behind because, you know, it's a warm water fish and we have never had to eat freshwater fish in South Africa. You know, we've always had plenty of access to meat and we are big meat eaters. And when we eat fish, we like to eat fish that comes from the ocean. But our oceans are being depleted from many, many stocks. And also the price of sea fish is becoming beyond the reach of the average household. And so the only way to really get access to fish is for us to farm it.
Do you physically see a mind shift when it comes to people only wanting to eat sea fish or ocean fish and now moving over to fresh water? Does a mind shift have to take place?
It does have to take place, and it is taking place. I mean, you know, people always kind of ask me about people eating fish, and you know, the example that I use is that, you know, 30 years ago, imagine trying to set up a sushi bar in Pretoria.
Yeah.
And people would have thought, you know, it was a joke.
Yes.
But now, wherever you go in Pretoria, you're going to find a really good sushi bar. And people are adapting their diets for a number of reasons, primarily for health reasons, but some of them are also from, you know, economic reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah, financial, it plays a big role. Now, when it comes to aquaculture, what contribution does it have and make in South Africa? I mean, you've got a bird's eye view of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the abalone industry contributes massively to the economy, not so much to food security or our own nutrition. The trout industry, like I said, it's a very healthy fish, and it's well known, you know, mainly in the supermarket and restaurant trade. Tilapia, which is the most farmed fish now in the world, is little known in South Africa. You know, obviously, people that live in the provinces where the water's warm and the fish exists in the rivers, they do catch and eat it. But, you know, for it to have become the second most, or the largest farmed species and traded species in the world, it shows you that it's a good quality fish. You know, it's a very good quality white meat fish, and it is eaten off the bone, but you can, in certain environments, farm it so that you can produce boneless and skinless fillets. And then you would eat that like you would eat hake, you know, traditional fish and chips, grilled, baked, boiled, steamed, with any kind of sauce or flavor that you like to eat your fish with.
David, tell me, how did you get into aquaculture? How did that happen? And why are you so passionate about it?
Well, I was always very, very keen on being outdoors and in the bush. And we lived on a golf course. And my favorite pastime was to come home from school and go and pick up my fishing rods and go and fish in the golf course dams. And by sheer chance, more than anything else, I ended up going to study in Scotland at an agricultural college, and specifically on aquaculture. And, you know, I was very fortunate in the early part of my career to be based on Lake Kariba, and we started with Willard's Foods, then what became Lake Harvest. And lake harvest has really been kind of the jewel in Africa's crown of aquaculture. And the first kind of commercialization of tilapia really started happening around the 1970s in Kenya. And from that, you know, there are a few really tough, hardened individuals that have taken the industry under their wing and really pushed forward with developing, you know, genetics, technology, farming systems, training programs. But it's really been driven by entrepreneurs and pioneers.
What are the most important species when it comes to aquaculture in South Africa? I mean, where is the focus and where should it be?
Well, I think our marine resources still have a huge role to play in developing aquaculture. But you know, there's so much that we don't know about the fish that live in the sea, other than they're nice to look at and good to catch. We don't know how some of them breed. We don't even know where some of them breed. And so there's a tremendous amount of research going on worldwide to develop marine species that we can farm with. You know, in South Africa, we farmed with the dusky cob, and we are now farming with yellowtail as well. Trout, as I say, is a very well-established aquaculture sector, and it's been in existence since the late 1800s in South Africa. Trout eggs were shipped from Scotland to the Cape, and the first batch they lost all the eggs, but the second batch they managed to get eggs to survive, and from that we now have a thriving trout industry. But for the most of parts of Africa, tilapia is the most farmed fish. What we've done with our technology is that we've made tilapia farming accessible to anybody and almost anywhere. Obviously, you have to create the right environment, and that environment is a greenhouse. And if you're farming in extremely cold conditions, well, then you can use insulated buildings like they do across Europe and Canada and even parts of America, where tilapia is farmed outside of its normal natural habitat.
Do you think enough is being done to develop aquaculture or aqua farming in South Africa?
Well, more and more is being done, and that's a great thing. You know, we're currently looking at surveying again the tilapia market with the Department of Forestry and Fisheries, and you know, just having the information as to who's farming, where they're farming, how much is being farmed, gives us the data that we can build on. You know, it's been a difficult industry because for many years people don't know whether it should fall under the Department of Environment or the Department of Agriculture, and so the industry's been shifted from pillar to post. We now have got a very stable platform. We've got a very good Department of Environment and Fisheries that are supporting the industry. And part of that support has been in developing the legislation and regulations around farming. Obviously, we do impact the environment, but not to the extent that people believe that we do. You know, we don't go around spreading diseases, and we don't pollute the water because we cannot farm in polluted water. So our primary concern is for the environment anyway. And the technology, as I say, you know, has been developed now so that we run, certainly with what we're doing as a company, we run a zero waste system. So we recirculate all our water, and the water that we do flush out of our filters, we then use either in aquaponics or for farming vegetables or herbs or just watering someone's garden. You know? So it's...
Yeah, and it's very exciting because, and I think interesting for you as well, because you've seen this development of this industry over the years, and to see where it was and where it's now, it's quite exciting to experience something like that. So would you encourage people in the agricultural sector to join the aquaculture sector? I mean, what tips would you give? How easy what should that person's characteristic be like?
Well, you know, really, we are no different to chicken farmers. And so if you don't know anything about farming chickens, you know, you don't going to jump at the deep end and start spending millions on infrastructure and learning by mistake. So the basis of any kind of new business venture is to understand the business that you're getting into. What's it going to cost you to get into it? What do you need? What knowledge do you need? What practical skills do you need? What staff do you need? And then how are you going to target your market?
Yeah.
And so we offer our clients a full supply chain consultation where we can start with a blank piece of paper and say, well, what is your vision for building the business? And by doing that, we develop something with the client that the client is looking for and that they're able to manage in terms of raising the capital, supplying the market, and employing people.
Do you think the potential for growth in the industry is good enough for people to start getting more excited about it?
Well, you know, I've been excited about it for 38 years now, and every year I send out an email towards the end of the year to my colleagues and my clients, and I say, you know, this is the year we're going to see the growth. And certainly we are beginning to see that growth. We've already hosted one major aquaculture type conference in South Africa, and there's another major investment conference coming kind of mid-year. So people are looking at investment opportunities. And when I say people, I'm talking about, you know, your World Banks, your World Fish, the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO. And there's now a lot of philanthropic investors that are looking at where can we invest our money and what are we invested in. And I believe anybody who's not investing in agriculture in Africa is missing out on a massive, massive opportunity. You know, just read reports every single day, financial reports and agricultural reports. I mean, you know, there is no limit to what can be done and what needs to be done. You know, we've got 1.4 billion people on the continent, and there are too many of not only African people but our own people in South Africa who are food insecure.
Absolutely.
And we can't have that. It's not right.
Yeah. David, I really appreciate your time. Me and you, we're going to have a second chat. I look forward to it, to find out more about tilapia fish. So I hope you have a good day. Thank you for joining us.
No, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Dit was dan nou David Fincham en hy is van Tilapia Farming Africa.